Hey everyone, this is Dr. David Song from Rehab Hero, and today we'll be going over wrist mobility flow. This series of exercises that we'll be doing today, it's going to be good for conditions like wrist impingement or any type of pinching type of pain issues that you might have in wrist extension, flexion, or whatever you name it. This type of series is also really good if you're like a rock climber or if you're doing a lot of calisthenic work and you're having issues with your wrists. You could try out this series. So first thing we're going to do is the general warm up. We're just going to do some wrist circles. So we're going to go and do some of these. So right now I'm going to be rotating them inwards towards my midline, and we're going to do about 20 repetitions of these or so. All right, and the idea is just to kind of get the joints moving in general. We don't really need to push the end ranges. We just want to get our tendons, our joints warmed up, and then we're going to go the other way. Good. Just rotating those wrists. While you're doing these exercises, if you find that any of these feel particularly great to do, you could, of course, just do more repetitions. You can always press pause on the video and just continue doing some of these movements. All right, we're going to clasp our hands together. We're going to move them in kind of a figure 8 style, both wrists moving together. You can kind of use your elbows and forearms to kind of push the wrists into their end ranges, going to flexion, extension. Good. I'm going to go the opposite direction now. And again, we're going to do about 20 repetitions. I'm not really keeping count here. We're just trying to get these things warmed up. So wrist mobility, the difference between just doing like a stretch and a wrist mobility series is that mobility focuses on increasing the amount of range of motion you have that's controllable. Good. So next, we're going to make sure you're set up on a yoga mat. We're going to get our hands. We're going to rotate our fingers so that they face inwards towards each other. Keep the palms flat on the ground, and you're just going to do these circles with your body over top. Pay attention to which hand feels the pinching sensation at the back or at the top of your wrist. If you feel any, you don't want to really push into pain necessarily. A little discomfort is okay. I always like to tell my patients that a bit of discomfort is just gains to be made. But if it's really uncomfortable to a point where it stops you or causes you to wince in pain, that's not something that we want to kind of push through. Good, we're going to go the other direction now. We're going back and forth. A lot of these exercises you can kind of do right before you do your workouts or your activities. Also great to cool down with, but usually I like to get a lot of my patients, especially like my CrossFitters and Olympic weightlifters who get some wrist issues due to doing the front clean position. Get those wrists warmed up, or a handstand position. Good, we're going to do the same thing, except for now we're going to rotate our fingers facing our bodies. And we're going to do some rotations here as well. Kind of just use your body's leverage to push you into ranges of motion that feel a little bit tougher for you to do. Be sure to keep the palms of your hands planted on the floor. If you're finding any of these motions too difficult, one of the easiest ways is just to bring the hips a bit forwards. And what that'll do is it'll just kind of decrease the amount of end range extension that will be going through your wrists here. Going the other direction now. Good. Generally speaking, with any of these exercises, you go from anywhere between 8 to 20 repetitions, and then you want to just change directions, go into a different movement. We will be doing some PNF stretching to finish it off. And PNF stretching is really great because it gets you to activate your muscles to stabilize these end range positions, because it's not just about the flexibility, it's about stabilizing in those end ranges. That's really important. Great, now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to get our wrists, the back of our hands onto the floors. From here, you're going to have to shift your body forwards a little bit more, just because too much weight can kind of irritate your wrists. We're going to do some of these circles once again. You could have your elbows locked out. The elbows could be bent too. It just really depends on what you can handle. Take it nice and easy, slow, rhythmical movements. And really appreciate which ranges are difficult for you to do. We're going to switch directions now. Good. As you can tell, I'm using my legs, my hips to kind of get me to rotate over top of my hands here. And we're going to do a few more of these. All right, so now that we got our wrists nice and warmed up, we're going to do the PNF stretches. So PNF is basically going to get your muscles to engage. So we're going to go first and target our common wrist flexor muscles. So we're going to go palms down, fingers back, and what we're going to do is just rock back until you feel a nice light stretch in your forearms here. You hold that for about 10 seconds or so. If you feel some pinching in the back of your wrist, just ease off the range a little bit. After about 10 seconds, what you're going to do is you're going to take your hand and you're going to actively push your fingers and the palm of your hand into the floor as if you're trying to scoop your hand through the floor here. Obviously, you're not going to be moving though, so once you find that stretch position, I'm going to just push my hands into the floor. So from a third party kind of looking at me, you wouldn't be able to tell I'm doing anything different because really all of the difference is internalized. It's just about squeezing your muscles and contracting those forearms. And then after about 7 seconds of that, you're going to relax here. And then once you relax, you should find that you could go a little bit deeper into end range extension in your wrists. And you're going to repeat this about 4 to 6 times. So I'm pushing to the floor now. And honestly, the only way you can tell I'm doing anything is through my breath here. You can hear me straining. I'm pushing down to the floor as hard as I can with my hands. I'm not using my body weight right now. And then I'm going to relax for another 10. I'm going to be able to go a little bit deeper. Remember, we only want to do a light to medium stretch. If we have a medium to high intensity stretch, back off. We don't want to strain our muscles. Today, we just want to kind of train these muscles to engage and stabilize our wrists. Pushing to the floor one more time. Let's go. We're going to go for max effort, but when you're doing that, you want to scale up and down into it, which means you're going to slowly go and engage your muscles more and more and more until you hit max squeeze, and then slowly disengage them until you're rested position. So we're resting right now. For today, we're just going to do one more repetition, but like I said before, you could do up to 6 here. And we're pushing to the floor as hard as I can, ramping up, and then slowly ramping down over a period of 7 seconds. I'm going to ease off of that. And now we're going to do the exact same thing, except for we're going to go into wrist flexion. So once again, fingers pointing backwards. You can have them pointing forwards too if that's a little bit easier for you, if you don't have as much shoulder or elbow mobility. I like to go backwards because it helps me leverage my weight a little bit better. So I'm going to rock back until I feel a light stretch in the back of my forearms. These are your common wrist extensor muscles now. And just like the last exercise, after about 10-second passive stretch, I'm going to take my hand, push into the floor, the back of my hand into the floor using my forearm muscles. So I'm going to push down to the floor right now, extending all my fingers into the floor as well. I'm trying to engage the tops of my forearms as much as possible right now. And then I'm just going to relax. And you should be able to go a little bit deeper. It might only be a degree or two, but a little bit more is more than nothing. And we're extend once again, pushing as hard as I can into that floor. Push, 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 push. And then I'm going to slowly relax. I'm going to try to see if I got another. Yeah, I got another degree. It might be hard for you to tell from the camera whether or not I made any gains, but I only got about a degree or two. I'm pushing to the floor one more time. Good, and relax. And for me, this is kind of the highest intensity I can go for right now, so I'm not going to try to push it any deeper for myself. I'm just going to stay at this angle and just make this angle feel a lot more comfortable. I'm going to extend my wrist back into the floor one more time. I'm going to do that for about 7 seconds. And then relax. And then slowly ease off of those wrists. Okay, so that's what completes our wrist mobility exercise. If you guys enjoyed this series, please remember to subscribe to my channel. If you have a question, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you all next time. Peace.